My name is Samuel, a 20-year-old college student studying for a career like everyone else, and I've been up for nearly 28 hours. The sun hasn't gone up. It all started at noon. I had completed my first 2 weeks of college and was on my third, and the workload was starting to get overwhelming. To remedy this constant pressure, I decided that on the same night, in the middle of the week, I would stay up. I never stayed up beyond midnight, so this experience was a pretty new one for me. Setting everything up for my big homework session, I felt more than prepared to pull this off without falling asleep. It was noon. My roommate had already slept early, but I made it my mission to get all my work done before dawn. It was 8 p.m. when I began the session. Since I started with easier assignments, I swept through a majority of them before 10 p.m. I only had calculus left by 11 p.m., but that usually takes forever to get through. Math was never a favorite subject of mine, but I made it my mission to get out of school with good grades now that I have to pay for it. So, if it's not my favorite, I have to at least try like it is. It's 12:43 a.m. Feeling the fatigue coming in, I went to the fridge for something caffeinated, but we had nothing like that. Apparently, I forgot to go out and stock up before the night. I didn't really do coffee, but my roommate does. Not being in the mood for something bitter, I went out to the nearest liquor store for an energy drink. The store was just around the corner from the apartment complex and took no more than 10 minutes to walk to. Crossing the street, I noticed how empty it was. There were big gaps in between each car passing through. The intersection near the street never had more than 3 cars on them at a time. It was barren, to say the least. Most, if not all cars, were probably people getting out of late shifts. The little parking lot in front of the liquor store was even more empty, with an old, green, early 2000s model car. Presumably, of whoever's doing the night shift. Quickly entering the store with the intent to make this quick, I get the most caffeinated stuff I could find and approach the register. The cashier scans everything. $9.24. He tells me with a yawn. Guess he was also pulling an all-nighter. I pay and leave with not another word spoken. Getting back home, I drop all the new drinks on the floor of my bedroom, ready to continue working. It's 1:03 a.m. I was in the middle of the 23rd question on the second calculus assignment when I glimpsed at the clock on my computer screen. It was already 5:02 a.m. My bedroom light was on, which could be preventing any notable lighting coming from outside. Since the blinds were also down, I took a peek through the window, expecting a soft shade of blue to be over the entire neighborhood. But, looking through it, all I saw was a black sky and the view of a dark street barely lit by old flickering streetlights. The only other sources of light were other apartment windows and the liquor store across the street. I put up the blind so I could see the outdoors from my desk and sat back in my chair. Could this be some daylight savings event I wasn't aware of? No, that happens a couple months later. Not right now. Not today. I have unfinished homework to deal with at this moment. Maybe it would be best just to ignore what's going on. I finished the first energy drink I bought. A long time passes. I struggle through my math work, sometimes even looking up the answers. But whenever I looked away from my work, I avoided looking at anything that showed the time, as if doing so would be bad luck, or prove what I'm afraid of. Finishing the work was slow, but not impossible. If it weren't for the drinks, I would have blacked out by now. But I eventually finished up the final question. Relieved with my work, I quickly glanced at the time. It's 8:24 a.m. Turning towards the window, with the blinds out, I have a clear view of the outside. The streets are as black as before. Nothing is wrong with the PC clock. Every other source of time I have on me says the same. 8:24. No, 8:25 a.m. No, I can't really sleep now with all the caffeine in me, and classes don't start until 12 p.m. So I just spend some time playing video games, hoping time would catch up with itself before long. It's 11:25 a.m. I notice the time and start getting ready for class, but looking out, I still see the darkness I have been seeing all night. Maybe this is some kind of solar event I wasn't informed of. I quickly realize that my roommate actually starts at 10 a.m. Maybe seeing him gone could prove I'm not going completely insane. I approach his bedroom door, expecting it to be locked since he always kept the thing locked regardless. Jamie tends to lean on the paranoid side, but he's a good roommate. I knock for a response and get none. Knocking progressively louder doesn't seem to change that. Well, of course I wouldn't get any. He should be on campus right now. But how will I know if he is, if I can't prove it? Maybe he's sleeping still. Maybe he slept late and couldn't wake up on time, but how can I know? I went back to my bedroom. I couldn't break his trust by breaking into his room like that. But if he really is on campus, I could maybe get a peek in there and be done with it. Close the door and he'll know nothing about this. Or if he is really sleeping in there, I could break in and wake him up. Maybe the gratitude of preventing him from sleeping through another class would keep him from getting mad over it. No. If he is asleep, I can close the door again and just bang on it until he wakes up. That way his trust isn't harmed, and I'll just be the good roommate. Since the apartment wasn't very expensive, neither were the doors. We got good enough locks on the front door. The bathroom has a decent one, but the bedrooms are another thing. There are slots on our doorknobs that turn with the lock. So, as long as you find something to turn the slot, the lock will turn too. Grabbing a bread knife from the kitchen, I was able to quickly turn the lock and unlock the door. Even if breaking in was that easy, we don't do it anyway. Guess it's more of a matter of principle. Opening the door, I see Jamie, lying on his bed, sound asleep. Quickly retreating from the room and closing the door as planned, I started to bang on it. I exclaim to wake up and call his name too, but I don't hear anything from him. Never waking him up before, I thought maybe he was just a deep sleeper. I checked the time. It's 11:35 a.m. At this rate, I'm becoming late too. I forget the precautions and head inside his room. He's still sleeping somehow. I repeat the past methods now that I'm closer to him. Nothing. Getting a little freaked out, I try to shake him, slap his head, even pull out his pillow. Still nothing. I know he's breathing, but nothing is getting him up, no matter what I do. Checking the time, I notice that it's 11:38 a.m. The school's a 15-minute drive. I could have narrowly got to the first class on time, but now I'll be late. I'd feel worse for leaving him like this if he wasn't creeping me out at the moment. So I quickly ditch him and make for the school. The drive there was odd, since there was no sun in the sky. It was still dark out. But even weirder was the traffic, or lack of it. Even in what usually are busier areas, maybe others are as confused as me, or maybe even more. Approaching the school, I could see it completely barren. All entrances are closed, and only a few windows displayed light. No school today? Or maybe the staff slept in. To say I was disappointed would be a lie, but I was worried regardless. I drive back home, more confused than before. I make it back by 12:13 p.m, and my roommate's still fast asleep. Not having the appetite for breakfast, I retreat to my bedroom, wondering what to make of all this. Looking out my window, I notice the liquor store is still open. If time is passing, the night shift guy there should be out, and nobody would have come to replace him. If the lights are on, somebody must be in there experiencing this too. Talking to them could at least cure my current isolation. I left at 12:21 p.m. I crossed the inactive street and got to the barren parking lot. It's as it was before, the same old green model. Getting in, I also see the tired guy I made the exchange with before. Confused, I approached him, and the conversation went as follows. Hey, could you tell me the time? I ask him. You sure? He takes a look at his phone. It's 12:32 a.m. A.m.? You sure it's not 12:32 p.m.? He must have misread his phone. No, look, it says so right there. He shows the phone screen to me. The clock changes to 12:33, but the PM stays right there on the screen. Sorry, but I'm seeing a P with that M, I tell him. He double checks his phone. A little bit of energy comes back in his eyes. Sorry, man. AM is all I'm seeing, he tells me as he puts his phone away. Confused, I end the conversation by stepping outside of the store. It continues to look like it's night. Maybe this is all a big misunderstanding. Maybe this is all just some sequence of coincidences I managed to find myself in. All my clocks mess up. My roommate explores tranquilizers, and I'm faster at doing work than I thought. Laughing at this ridiculous scenario I have to be in for this all to make sense, I look up at the sky. At least when it's dark out, you can see some of the space, the stars, the moon. But looking out, I don't see any of that. There are no stars out. But that's understandable. I live in a city. Light pollution does that. But I continue looking, desperately. I look around every corner, hoping that maybe the moon would show its white face. But I can't see it. There is no moon. Nothing is in the sky, just a dark, black void of an empty abyss. Where the hell am I?
Hello listeners, if you enjoyed this story, please check out the author in the description. For more content, leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more sinister readings.